I just want to welcome you here today, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to just pour into the community that you truly have helped me build, even though I know you've seen this inside of me. You helped me see it inside of myself, and I would just love to hear how you really bring that out in people and help people like me realize that leaning into our gifts in this world are what we're here to do.
Mm. Well, I will say, I don't know if I've ever met someone, Tara, that is, it's more evident and clear that they're like born to be a connector. And you do that so naturally that in the beginning, when we first met, I think you were pretty unaware of that gifting because I think sometimes when we have just innate gifts that are just woven into the DNA and fabric of who we are, we overlook them as insignificant because it just seems so obvious to us. Like, of course, like I connect people with other people. Like, why wouldn't I? That's obvious. But for like as an onlooker, as someone that's been witnessing it and clearly seeing it like right here and what it has built in the community you've built, um, it's so evident that that's been you've already been doing it naturally. And then it was just like, how do we take this clay and we mold it into something that is specialized and designed to serve at a higher level? So I would say it's all you. And I think that's the key is when you're any of us across any industry can and should do this for the people that we get to serve in whatever capacity, right? Like when you're having a conversation with someone, when you're getting to know someone, whether you're leading them on your team, whether you're serving them as a client, again, any industry, it's really our job to figure out like how can we pull out the best in them. And that's something that I feel like my mom always taught me just through her acts, like through how she functioned, was like every conversation she has with people, she seems to find a way to draw out of them the very best version of them. And it's kind of just like this, for me, just this natural quest of like looking into the corner pockets where maybe they have some blind spots and can't see those giftings and figure out like what does it look like to really cultivate those things. Because to me, that's like, those are the gifts that God gave us. And to die without ever having cultivated those is such a tragedy. So when you have the opportunity to help someone do that, you're really, for me, you're doing, you're helping like, God's vision for the world get out into, into the world at large to serve at a deeper level.
No, I completely agree with you. I'm not sure if you noticed this, but well, I guess you noticed it in me, but sometimes when we have these gifts that we're leaning into, or we feel like we should, could, or would lean into something if the stars aligned, or if everything was perfect, or if God handed us the exact plan for it. But sometimes we tend to make this our blind spot, or oh, it's just common sense and everyone knows how to do this or knows what to do, so why would anyone think that that's special in me? Is there something that you would offer as encouragement or any type of way that we could really lean in and find those gifts within us? And sometimes with multi-passionate people too, like it's like, okay, I have a lot of different things that I love. Where does that go?
I like to look for patterns like that. It's internal patterns and external patterns. So I'll give you examples. Internal is like the nudges you keep getting or the thoughts that keep popping into your head that you just can't seem to get to drop or go away, like the things that you just keep thinking about or you keep coming up with ideas around or you keep not it's not like this stressful energy. It's like this kind of uplifting energy or excited energy that come with them. So those internal patterns and then external patterns, I feel like sometimes we will hear from other people the same things over and over, or we'll see the same things in our world, or we'll have similar experiences, or like through other people or through experiences, we see things reflected back to us, but we ignore them because other things scream louder. right? We juggle a lot, especially if you have a business and you have a family and you have obligations and you're trying to just keep everything afloat. It's really easy to suppress those patterns because they're not screaming loud, they're not on fire, and there are plenty of other things that are. Um, so we keep kicking that can down the road. And for me, that's part of the self-discovery process is just sitting and asking yourself the right questions and allowing yourself to bear witness to those patterns internally and externally that are really signals and signs for you to start cultivating those areas of your life. They are not coming up time and time again by coincidence. They are not being spoken back to you or reflected back to you. And how many times when someone says something nice to you, and I don't just mean you, Tara, I mean like all of us, we kind of deflect it because that's like this what we think humility is of like, oh no, it's no big deal. Like that's nothing. Well, no, how about you keep a journal of all the things people are saying so that you can start to capture some of that evidence of like, maybe I am meant to do more of this. Maybe I am meant to lean into this piece of myself that really could become something because I keep hearing it over and over. It keeps taking up and occupying space in my mind, night after night.
No, I love that. That's really good advice. And you touched on something that I know that you have mentioned many times to our mastermind in your podcast and a lot of different things, but just having that rest and giving yourself that time to sit with that and have
Mhm.
quiet. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, that's been one of the most fruitful things I've done as a business owner, but like in general, as a person, has been like I'm a type 3 on the Enneagram. I'm a high D on the disc. I'm very much the personality type that can have lean into the bent of like all gas, no brakes, fill every minute of my schedule with productivity and production and performance. Like that's me, and it's always been me. So it was very counterintuitive when I had mentors in my life, over the last decade plus telling me to slow down, not slow down and pick up a fiction book, not slow down and watch reality TV, but like slow down and think and slow down and contemplate and reimagine and innovate and iterate. And I was like, I don't know what to do with that because it doesn't feel productive. It's not paying the bills. But what I realized was anything besides that is what keeps you on the treadmill. If you're not taking the time to kind of elevate up out of the chaos of life and out of the weeds of life to hear what God's speaking into you, to look for those patterns, to reimagine the future, to calculate and think about what the next step could and should be, the things that speak to you versus the things that you're like, why am I not pruning this out of my life? Like it's not meant for me anymore. Um, there you will at best maintain. So that's why, because I am the personality that I am, I couldn't just say, like, oh, I'm going to think more. I had to be like, I'm going to create templates and schedules that codify this into my reality or else I won't do it. And that's just me. Like um not everyone's like that, but that really helps me. Like it really helps me to know and look at my schedule and see like, oh, I have this day allotted to not being in Slack and not being on email and not looking at social media and just being in that space. And I go into it with the frame of mind of like, this is fruitful. Like, this is the work that I need to be doing. This is purposeful. And this is taking me to where I'm called to go. Not like, oh, I got to carve out time because someone told me I have to think more. It's like, oh, this is just as important and as mission critical as writing that copy for that sales page or hopping on that sales call or meeting with that prospective client or any of that kind of stuff. Like this is as purposeful, actually, probably more so if I want to lead my life in a new trajectory.
Well, that's great. Thank you for sharing that because I have noticed many times, even many of us on this call, I've had conversations with them and we're thinking that being on that hamster wheel or just the go, go, go is more productive when actually giving yourself that rest or that space to think and be creative and have that time to iterate or reimagine what things can look like, which you have just explained so well. So thank you for that. I do have another question for you. Um, so with building a team or just thinking of what's next for some of the people that are working solo or as a solopreneur or just having their business with everything on their shoulders, what are some things that we could focus on as we are in our zone of genius or in our sweet spot, as you would say, and just really giving team the opportunity to help support and just expand in that area?
So I would preface the answer to that question with something to consider first. And that is, I believe, because I've made this mistake before, many times before, is that the tendency is often to add more, right? So let me add some team, or let me add, like, take stuff off my plate and give it to them, and let me add more systems. And all of that is great and really important. But I believe that who is greater than do. So we ask the question, what do I need to do to make these things happen? I would back up a few steps and say, who do you need to be? So there are two questions that I've been asking myself lately to help me kind of prune away and make space for allowing things like team to really be fruitful in my business. And I didn't always do this. So the first question that I would challenge people to ask themselves when you're thinking about leading a team, even if it's one person who's a contractor, super part-time, like, doesn't matter, or 10 people that are full-time, it really doesn't matter. The question is, what's the version of you that you've been delaying becoming? Because you can hire people all day long and you can offload all the crap that's stressing you out. But if you're not yet the person who can cultivate the best in that person, who can articulate the direction of the company and where things are going, of what your expectations are, what you're excited about, what you see in them, all of that, then it's going to be wasted time and money. And then the second question I would consider is, what chapter is closing that you keep trying to rewrite? And this is just kind of like the foundational work before you do any, it's not specific to team. It's just like any transition, any up leveling, any looking into new opportunities, trying to grow. These are two things that are foundational because you want to build from this bedrock versus just like trying to add more in or make changes or pivot or whatever before asking those questions. And that has been helping me pretty considerably to then have the clarity to know, how do I leverage team in the right way? Or like, how do I give them the best possible advantage so that we continue to grow in the way that I want to, or whatever it might be. So those have been really helpful and like revealing too. So a lot of times when you're asking yourself the right questions, you're kind of hit with the 2x4 square in the face of like some pretty humbling answers. But those answers allow you to make decisions in reality that are really going to serve and help you grow. So in terms of team, though, once you have clarity around that, I think the key things when you're bringing other people in, don't hire people just to take tasks, right? Like, who should be alongside you in your mission, right? Who is going where you're going? Who is going to champion your ideas and support you when the world might look at you like you're crazy, right? Who's going to hold up the mirror when you're playing it safe? When they see something in you that needs to be cultivated and explored. We always hired based on, or not always, there were years we didn't do this, but it was more important to hire based on that person, like the person that's in the mission with me, that is obviously capable, but maybe they're not like the most skilled in the thing we're hiring for. I care more about, does their personality type fit the type of role we're bringing them in for? Do their value set align with our value set? Because I can't change that or train that in or out of somebody. Um, will they be able to champion the mission? And then we can talk about, are they capable of bringing their expertise in or learning certain skills? Because skills can be developed and learned.
Mhm. No, I love that. Thank you. And with that, I would love to, you reminded me of just your shift in name with the podcast with Your Big Next. And something like this would be some where people are looking at, okay, where am I called to in this season or what is happening here? And you have a book coming out. So I would love to hear a little bit about that and where we will be able to find that eventually.
Yes. Actually, we already have a waitlist page, so I can share
Yes,
that.
please. I will add that to the notes.
Awesome. Um, so the book Your Big Next was kind of like birthed out of a really crazy season for me. And I've had a book on my heart forever, but it's one of those things that it's really easy because it doesn't scream the loudest, because it's not making me money today, because it's not something I already have the skills or the resources for, to just keep saying someday. And then I walked through a personal situation where I realized someday is really not guaranteed. You know, you hear that decade after decade, but you don't really believe it until you're laying on a hospital bed bleeding out. And that was my wake up call that this book and this message is one that God's placed on my heart to be the conduit to put it out into the world for whatever reason. And the premise of Your Big Next is essentially I I love growth. Like I told you, I'm a 3 on the Enneagram. I like growth for the sake of growth. I thrive in challenge. If it's not challenging, I'm bored out of my tree. Like when I do a workout routine, if it doesn't make me feel like I'm about to die, I'm too bored and I quit after a week. If I've tried so many times to do like Pilates programs or yoga programs and I'm like, but I can still breathe. So this is boring. So like that's my propensity. Give me hard, give me challenge. Um, However, I got to this point in my life where growth for the sake of growth wasn't working for me anymore either, right? Challenge for the sake of challenge, like 10xing because that's what you do, or scaling. I mean, I had a podcast for years that was called Scaling Up. It was about how to scale your business. And I realized, wait a minute, there comes a point where like your business starts to outgrow you. It starts to outgrow your leadership because you're just growing. Like you're not thinking about, what am I here to do? What is the calling that I have had placed on my heart and divinely orchestrated for me to carry in this moment in time? And how does it incorporate all of my most precious values and virtues so that I'm not compartmentalizing myself, like where I'm like, oh, this is the stuff I'm going to do in business and accomplish over here, but this is the stuff, these are the values I hold dear. No, you're just one person and it all has to integrate. So the idea behind Your Big Next was kind of just this providential path to breaking free of busy work and growth for the sake of growth for your life's work. And I really like to make things that can feel very esoteric tangible. So creating, we have the formulas and the tools and the resources to like build your next marketing funnel, or to learn how to increase your revenue by X% on your sales calls or your conversions or whatever. But it's rare that you get like the steps or the frameworks or the tools that teach you how to make things like leadership or your growth tangible. So Your Big Next is, okay, what's God calling you to in this season? And then what does it look like to step really courageously onto that trajectory and make it come to life? With the hope of helping more entrepreneurs build businesses that give more than they take, because we all start with these great intentions, like, oh, I'm going to start this business. I'm going to do it for my family. I'm going to create more freedom. And I'm speaking from my own personal mistakes and struggles with this. And what happens is, because we build something successful, because we get something off the ground, then we shift out of that reality and into now we have to maintain this thing, and it drains us, and it's no longer aligned with our calling, and we're not spending our time in our sweet spot, and therefore we're not as profitable as we could be, and it takes our time and our energy, and we just keep hoping that eventually it'll change, but really it's just a treadmill. Like we're just going to stay same speed, same place forever if we don't make these big changes. So how do you take those really aligned leaps? So that's the premise of the book. It's also the name of my podcast, and I had so much fun writing it. Like it was so awesome. Um, I had to set a timer to stop writing
Love
because
that.
I would have neglected all of my work because I was like, I just want to sit and write all day. Because when God puts something on your heart in that way, which he's doing for you too, by the way, anyone listening, because you just might not realize it, right? Like you just might not be aware of it because the hard part about your big next, because it's not just incremental growth, because it's not just like the obvious next thing or the next goal. It is literally by definition, by my definition, because I made it up, it's the thing that you're being called into. And the one guarantee is that you're not ready for it yet. You are not equipped to step into your big next yet. And the only way you become equipped in resources, whether it's time, money, skill, belief, you name it, is by being willing to step on the path. So it's kind of this double-edged sword, and it's why so few people ever do it, is because when we weigh it and we look at it, we're like, oh yeah, I really want to do that thing, or I really feel called to do that thing. You're like, but I'm not quite ready yet. Once the business gets here, once I have this much money, once the kids go off to school and I have time, once, whatever the thing is. So that's the trickery of it is, when it's a calling, you get cultivated in the calling. Like you will only get to experience the awesomeness of it by having the courage to go forth without the guarantee of how it's all going to happen, and having the trust that it comes to be because you've been even just been willing to say yes, and your willingness will be rewarded.
Oh, that's beautiful. I can't wait to read it. I'm very excited that I'm on the early reader list because I'm
Heck
excited
yeah.
about that. And we talk a lot about just choosing the courage over that fear sometimes, even if it's 51%, 49, just having the courage to take that step and to move forward. And I love what you're doing and how you're presenting this. And I know that this book is going to reach millions of people, if not more. So thank you for having the courage to write it and lean into that, because if that's something that's been on your heart for a while, or again, for anyone listening, if a book is on your heart or whatever it may be, leaning into that is such a beautiful thing. So
Mm.
I just appreciate you being here today. And if it's okay with you, I would like to invite everyone back on. And if anyone had a question, if you still have a few minutes
I
to
do. Yep.
hang out with us.
Absolutely.
Okay. Everyone here has the most beautiful soul, and I just appreciate you having the opportunity to see them too. So,
Me too.
yes. Ashley, please ask your question.
Hi, Liz. Nice to meet you.
Me too.
Tara, thank you so much for putting this together. And just, I loved everything you shared. I took a whole bunch of notes. I really love how you said to listen to those internal nudges. So, what would you say to somebody who's keeps getting these internal nudges? Like, what is kind of that first step to go down the path? Like, what
Mm.
does that actually look like?
Well, I think there comes a point like where those nudges, they're either going to turn into like a conviction in your heart, like where they're more than just a nudge, where they just kind of keep you up at night. And the key is turning those convictions in your heart into like feet on the ground, right? Like the doing. And I always say, like, answers come to those who take action. So, yes, I believe in having time to like cultivate and think But a lot of people get trapped there where they never actually do. And the way that you learn whether those nudges are the right nudges, are they godly nudges, are they just in your head, are they just a good idea, is by taking the next logical action step to test it. And there are a few reasons you do it. So, one of the caveats to your big next, this premise, is sometimes God places, this has happened to me many times before. Sometimes God places something on your heart, right? A calling, a big next, whatever. And we think like, this is the thing. There's a reason I say like a calling in this season and not your life's purpose, like the pressure of knowing your life's purpose. Life is constantly evolving. You're constantly evolving. There are needs that are constantly evolving. And the reason I say that is because sometimes God calls you to something so that you pursue it to learn that it was never the thing. Sometimes you get called to something and you pursue it just so that you thought it was this thing over here, right? Like, oh, I'm going to write this book. And then in writing the book, you meet the editor who introduces you to so and so, and that becomes your next big next that has nothing to do with the book you wrote. Or you start to step into this big next and you learn something about yourself that you would have never seen had you not had the courage to pursue it. And it really has nothing to do with the thing you scribbled in your notebook that you thought was going to be the next big thing. So what chokes out the possibility and the potential faster than anything is allowing yourself to stay in the thinking and the cultivation for too long without taking any action steps and exploring. So, of course, there's not like a one size all fits all next step because everyone's nudge might be different. But Ashley, for example, if you're feeling the nudge to start writing, you start writing, right? Like if you're feeling the nudge to pivot in your business to start to serve a different audience, like you pick up the phone and you call someone who's in that audience and see how you can serve them. So that's such a key piece of this is do not live in inaction. Do not think that just because I've said, make sure you take the time to envision whatever, that like you spend the next year writing on a whiteboard, but never doing anything in reality. Right. So
Right.
it's this delicate balance, but it's taking the pressure off yourself to have it all figured out right now. You don't. Just follow the nudge and then you'll know pretty fast. Like I've had plenty of nudges that I thought were going to be the thing. And I'm like, well, that wasn't the thing. That sucked, or I hated that, or that. But it revealed the next thing, or it introduced me to the next person, or it opened the door, or whatever. So answers come to those who take action. Like follow those nudges. You'll very quickly get the feedback loops opening to know whether or not you're meant to continue to pursue it.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. And I love all your Instagram content. I've been following you
Thanks.
since Tara tagged you. And yeah, I just appreciate you being here. So thank you for
Well,
that.
you can thank Noelia for that because she's been helping me actually put my content out into the world because that is not my gifting.
Cool.
I have a comment question, and Crystal, you can please show up. It's okay if there's no showers here. We judge at all. So it says, what would you say to movement? When do you listen to that nudge and move, or know that it might just be another crazy entrepreneurial idea that we all end up having 24/7?
24/7. Yeah, I
I
can
guess.
relate. That is very much my nature too. I can come up with 1,000 ideas a day and maybe one is good, but they all feel great in my mind. So this is where and why I'm obsessed with leadership.
Hmm.
You're not just called to be an entrepreneur. You need to become a leader, and a leader uses discernment. And there are different ways you can use discernment, right? where you can sit and think through, is this another crazy idea, or is this something that I'm being magnetized towards? One really great way is in communities like this, right? Who do you have in your circle that holds up the mirror and loves you enough to tell you when you're being a moron and doing yet another stupid thing, right? Um, or to hold up the mirror and say, no, I don't think you're thinking big enough, or I don't think that's actually in alignment with your values, or are you sure that's what you want? Or yes, go after it. Like, so having those people in your circle is really, really important. So that's one way to discern is, but you also don't want to become dependent on other people's validation or permission to do things too, right? Like you have to, again, be a leader and be sovereign in your decision making. The other thing I'd say is we created this tool called the Visionary Matrix. It's in the book, but this is where I would use it. So there are 4 quadrants, but the 2 I'll focus on for you guys in this instance and to answer your question, Crystal, is there's the quadrant of um, it's hard and light, and then easy and heavy. Okay. So easy and heavy is where I usually meet people. It's where they're on the treadmill, they're doing all the things. They're going for every big crazy idea. They feel like they're taking on water. It it's what you can do in your sleep, what you're very competent at, but it costs you peace, right? So you have to discern what is falling in that quadrant for me in this season. For me, it's like stuff like taking another meeting without thinking through like what's the ROI on this conversation, right? Like, and I don't just mean financial ROI, like what's the value for me or the person that I'm speaking to? Or am I just letting my schedule just kind of get filled without thinking about it? Or it's an offer that brings in money, but I know it's not aligned with my big next and where I'm going. Things like that. I see Mariana smiling and nodding because Mariana was my director of operations for years, and she's seen me through all the crazy. And she was one of those wise, discerning mirrors that helped me immensely to figure these things out and helped me build things like this that I'm talking to you about. Now there's another quadrant, and this is where you want to test. This is where you can start to know, is this something that I should explore? And it's the quadrant of hard but light. Is it going to challenge you? Do you not yet have all the answers and the resources for it? But when you discern it, you pray on it, you think about it, you journal on it, whatever your strategy is, there's a lightness to it. You feel so magnetized towards it, and those patterns keep interrupting your mind, and you can't put it down, and you want to explore it. And there's no heaviness to it. Like when you can come up with an idea, but then when you think about it, if it has a weight to it, not that it's just going to be hard, but it's heavy. You're like, oh, that's stressful and that's chaotic, and I don't really want to do that. It's probably not the right thing for you to start pursuing. But if it has a lightness to it, you can start to test it. I have a mentor that always tells me, like, what is the lowest barrier to entry or like lowest risk way to test? Right? Is it just a conversation you need to have with someone who's already done it to like explore something that maybe you don't know? Like if you're thinking of pivoting or whatever, writing a book, talk to someone who's written the book and be like, all right, what really went into this? What does it look like? What does my next year look like? And then when you hear and it's like, oh, that feels super heavy, it's not for you. An example is when we were moving from or starting to look into moving from Wisconsin to New Hampshire. My family's out here in New Hampshire and my husband's family's out in Wisconsin. We were in Wisconsin for 6 years. We were looking at properties, and one of the properties that came up was this 65-acre blueberry farm out here in New Hampshire. And we loved it. It was like on a river. The house was beautiful. We're like, we could be blueberry farmers. Like, we want to own an orchard. This fits in the realm of what we want to do. And So my husband, we put an offer in, they accepted it. My husband flew out for the inspection, and he was about to sign all the papers, and divinely orchestrated, the farmer showed up in the time that the realtor was showing him the house for the inspection, which he was not supposed to do. And my husband Michael ran into him out in the fields, and they were talking, and Michael was ready to buy this place. And he started talking more about what goes into being a blueberry farmer. And he's like, because in our minds, we're like, oh, blueberry season's like these couple months in the summer. That'll be so great. They already have established market here that's pick your own. So that's great. Like, we'll do that. Well, the blueberry farmer starts telling us, well, yeah, like in November, you start pruning the bushes. I usually spend like 6 to 7 hours a day, November, December, January, February, in like the freezing cold winter and snow out here pruning, and you have to hand prune them. Otherwise the bushes get damaged. And so Michael's like taking this all in, and then calls me after, and he's like, I'm about to sign the papers, but like, can we just talk through this part? And there was a heaviness that we both felt of like, this is for somebody, but it's not for us. Right. But we had this great idea. Like, we had it all mapped out. We had already measured the property. We had already contacted the town for permits to build barns and different things on the property. But that weight made it very clear and easy for us to say, we're letting this one go because it's not for us. So it's just sitting with like your intuition a little bit, and allowing yourself to feel like, am I just excited, but I'm not really thinking through the whole picture? And if I were to step into this, it would feel like a monkey on my back that I don't want.
Well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Liz. I know it is just about time. And if you did have another question, please continue this chat in our school platform if you would like to. And I can always ask Liz if it's okay with you, if there's any other burning question that you need to answer. Otherwise, I would love to help with that question if needed. And Liz, I just thank you for sharing not only your wisdom and just expertise, but your heart and your time and just pouring into us today. I adore you, and I'm just so grateful to be in a world with you. So thank you. And just can't wait for your book to come out too.
Thank you. You've cultivated something so awesome. And I know you guys all know this, but you're in amazing hands. And yeah, this is something really special. So lean in and be that mirror for each other. Like, love each other enough to be honest and truthful with each other in what you see, because you're not doing each other a favor by just like always saying what will make the person feel good in the moment. Like, pull out of them the very best in them. That's the best gift you can give each other. And you know that you're in a safe place and that you're doing it from a place of love, that'll be a really good gift that you're giving yourself and each other.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for being here. We'll see you soon.